We are live. Are we live? Yes.
Okay.
How are you, Dr. Mui?
Hey, good. How about you, Dr. Gerard?
Yeah, they actually comments already. You can see in the chat.
Yeah.
Simply, Prakash. Prakash is all here. Hi, everyone.
All right. Hi. Good evening to all of you.
We are live. Are we live? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. How are you, Dr. Mui?
Good. Hey, good. How about you, Dr. Gerard?
Yeah, they actually comments already. You can see in the chat.
Yeah.
Simply, Prakash. Prakash is all here. Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone. Yeah.
All right.
Hi. Good evening to all of you.
We are live. Are we live? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the
Vetrivella is here. Vetrivella, I think he or she, sorry, I can't recognize the name. I think was here yesterday for the what do you call Lean Six Sigma presentation. Okay. So
yeah.
we are checking this.
Casey.
Yeah. Okay, Casey. Okay, Adrian is here.
Hmm.
Okay, maybe those who are attending this live show would like to maybe say who you are, where are you from, which company are you from on the live chat, so that we can actually know who they are and
Yeah.
where are you
I
from.
think while waiting for everyone comes in gradually, I think those who are here, you can say, unmute your mic and say hello. I saw quite a number of names. Podcast. All right. Li Hua, okay. Then Adrian. Ramanathan, okay. SEO, okay. They can speak, right? The participant now, they can say hello, huh?
They can only say hello on the live comments.
Oh, okay, live comments, they cannot hear the voice. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Only during the, yeah, all right.
Okay, there are a few people who are returning. Yesterday they were here, so they are returning for today's event. And next week, I think Dr. Mui will be presenting, right? Dr. Mui?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next
So,
Wednesday evening, I will talk about the subject on tree management. So hopefully all of you can join, all right?
yeah. Please do join Dr. Mui's presentation webinar next Wednesday. I'm at 8 o'clock, I think. Yeah,
Right,
next
right.
Wednesday, 8 o'clock, 8 to 10, I believe. It's a 2 hour talk.
Yeah, about 2 hours, including the Q&A. Right?
Okay. We also have our staff coming in, Ms. Wong, Soleha, SEGI staff. Thank you for coming and joining this talk. Soleha, you remember Soleha, Dr. Mui?
Yes, I remember her. Okay.
Yeah.
We have been. All right. Good. Good to see everyone. We come in. We have how many people now, roughly?
We have about 37 people live.
Okay. Good.
Tony
I think so.
will update us.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Well,
it's
let's
already
stay for a while. Let's still
already,
for a while.
Yeah.
Hey, Daniel. All right.
Oh, Liu Hong Kiong is from Quayside. Okay. Joining.
Hi,
Raj.
Some quite a number of familiar names. Okay. So this MCO have enabled a lot of webinar. All right. So I think this is a good opportunity to learn and engage since everyone stay at home. Yeah, maybe some of you may still have to go to the office doing some essential product or getting approval from MIDI. Still, I was told some of them still have to rotate, go to the office. This is the scenario happening since the last 1-2 weeks now. I think more will be going to office soon. I think gradually will open up. Look at the trend. Just that the government still holding up, not totally don't leave the MCO. I would think look at the situation in May, hopefully before end of May can back to normal. Okay.
Oh, we have Silva Kumar from Intel as well.
Oh, okay, good.
Someone from Lumileds, Sokchin from Lumileds.
Yeah.
Welcome to this evening's webinar. We are still waiting for some people to come in. We are about to start very soon.
Hi, LH. Thank you for joining.
Oh, we have Mr. Lu from National Recruitment as well.
Yeah, good.
And we have people from Utah as well. Good.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, we have teachers as well. SMK Simpang, Kuala Alustar. Actually, we had this session about 2 weeks ago, Mr. Mui, Dr. Mui. We had this session, so it was quite successful. There were about close to 500 over participants, mainly teachers. Yeah, teachers find this topic to be interesting as well, because most of the time they are presenting. So they use mind science to help them learn how to present better.
Yeah, I think this session will definitely add value to whoever who want to share or present information to anyone, right? Even either you're a teacher or you're a working adult or you are a student, right? You need to do some presentation, so everyone will be benefited.
Yeah, actually, this thing has a general application. Okay, basically, understanding mind science will help most people to do better presentations. Okay, regardless whether you are a trainer, teacher, or a corporate presenter. If you do sales and marketing, I think it's even better if you learn this. Okay, understanding the brain and how the brain actually understands stuff and learn will actually help you present. Okay, that's the idea behind this topic.
All right. So I saw some familiar name. Jess, you are there. I saw your name. Okay, James Lim. Yeah.
Jess Tai from Jamil. Okay.
Yeah.
Sarawak Energy. Oh, Sarawak Energy. Anyone from Sarawak?
Away from Kuching. Okay.
Oh, away from Kuching, James. Okay.
Yeah, when all of you write, you can indicate your comment. Okay. Welcome.
From Motorola. Welcome.
Right. So, welcome to the live webinar. This is a live one, so it's a direct broadcast. Yeah.
Yep.
Only thing is we can't hear your voice, but you can write. You can write in the live comments there. So when you're in already, you introduce your from which company, and then you know who you are, and you can get to know each other.
It's good to see a lot of industry people tonight. I think this will be something.
It's very diversified. So we have mixture of participants tonight, right? So it's good. Yeah.
Zaki Saman, okay, it's here with us.
Yeah.
Okay, we have Dell as well. SDC as well.
Yeah.
Wow, quite a lot of people, right?
So total we have how many now, Tony? So we have 70 people, about 50, we have 80 people already.
We have about 80 participants right now. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, I think we should start. It's already 8:35. Dr. Mui.
We will start over the one people 1 minute. So start.
Okay.
Maybe I think we can start. We can start.
Yeah. People will be continuing to join. It's okay.
Yeah. Okay. I will go to my presentation slides, and then I will before I hand over to Dr. Gerard. Okay. Let me. Can see my presentation slide. Dr. Gerard, can
Yes, I can see. Start. You can start.
Okay. All right. So A very good evening to all of you, and welcome to this evening talk series, right? In collaboration between Career Growth Sdn Bhd and also Segi College Penang. All right, so I think this is the talk that we organized over the last few weeks, and this is actually for Segi the second sessions. All right, for Career Growth is the first section. We are great this evening. We invited Dr. Gerard going to come forward to share the topic on the mind science for effective multimedia presentation. Right. My name is Dr. Mui. I will be the moderator for this session. So this session will last about an hour plus, 1 hour 20 minutes. Right. So we will look into some key learning on how to be effectively present multimedia. Now, the topic is on mind science for effective multimedia presentation. For those, you are PMI certified project managers, or eventually you want to go for certification, you can get 1 PDUs, right? I think we try to benefit of those who are project managers, right? But if you are non-project managers, so you can benefit from learning the way how presentations, how effectively they present. Now, I will do just have a soft reminder before we start this so-called this webinar. Now, we will save the question. If you have any questions, you can put it to the chat room. All right. So I myself, we try, and also Dr. Gerard, we try to respond to you from time to time when the sessions go on, right? But we do have Q&A sessions towards the end of the webinar, about 10 minutes, right? So then the last point is an attendance evaluation from, and also a digital certificate will be provide you to go and download for those who want to have a certificate for this session. Now, let me run through a few introduction about career growth. Right, we are actually a training provider, and we do a lot of different type of trainings for the professionals, right, in the industry, for multiple industry. And project management is one of the topic that we are actively promoting, right? So we are also doing a lot of live online PMP certified and also other non-project management subject as well, right? These are the sessions that we are going on. In fact, this week I already run sessions on the live online PMP training, and next week is also another session. So it's a 4-day sessions, right? So we give a lot of promotions for whoever who are interested to join, or if you're signing up during these 4-day sessions, all right? So we'll give you a special price, and even though in the future you want to join the face-to-face session, will be also free. Now, on top of that, we also have many other learning modules, including free talks as well. Right? This is a third free talk that we are running, and we collaborate with Segi College Penang. So on the 2nd and 17th, so we run one talk about the guide to the tech leaders about how to manage these technologies, projects, and people right now. So we have different learning modules, from the basic project management module to project risk management to leadership to dealing with outsourcing projects. Right? And tonight we have this mind science for effective presentation. So we have the managing virtual workplace and team learning module as well. If any of you would like to learn the techniques on how to approach of how to manage people virtually, now with the social distancing and also the health pandemic now going on, I think managing virtual is become a very important skill that people will have. Right now, next week, next Wednesday, I will share the topic on the how project management and knowledge and skill can enhance your career and business and career path. Right, this topic will be interesting for those who would like to learn how this project management skill that is really a benefit and elevate, bring up your standards. Now the other one is that we also have some more modules coming up in May. Right, so with the program management, also project management application, and we have the live online modules on the Safe Agile. So these are on the Agile, and also the program management professional bootcamp. Now these are the upcoming live or not. I think with the situation going on like this, even the NCO, we also don't know how long it will last, right? So we will be focusing on more of this kind of a live online session, right? So we will provide material to participants who sign with us ahead before the class starts, and then we can do some pre-reading before we join the session, right? So these are things that we are doing now. A bit background about career growth. We are registered training provider with the Project Management Institute. Of course, we are also a HRDF registered training provider, right? So we have worked very closely with both PMI and also PSMB on the learning for the benefit of the industry, right? So we a bit background. We are doing a lot of training, coaching, and consulting services, right? So range from E&E industry to automotive, even to telecom, semicon, oil and gas, right? So even construction. We cover a very diversified industry. We have a group of trainers and coaches who are running the so-called knowledge sharing and also consulting service. Right? If you're interested, you can engage us. I mean, our goal is to bring up the skill set of people in this region. All right. So I myself have been involved in this so-called learning, training, and professional service and consulting over the last more than 10 years. Right? Now, this is our certificate with a PMI. All right. So our registered education provider number is 4X36. Okay. Now, the certified certificate from the PSMB, right, is a certified training provider of HRDF. Okay. And these are some of our modules that we do on the. You can go into our website www.careergrowth.com.my to find out more other courses that we are offering now. So you can training, the main bulk, and some coaching and consulting services. Right? We do have some other modules and non-project management module as well. Right. So we a lot of both technical and non-technical courses we are currently covering. Right. We do a lot of certification courses with PMI, like the risk management professional, Agile certified practitioner, even like others with the Scrum.org, we have the professional Scrum Master and professional Scrum product owner, or even silver Scrum Master and leading scale Agile. M&E modules, we do have some M&E modules for construction people who are involved in that. Now we do have quality management module as well, like FME or trees. Then we have management system module, plus others like even Lean or Six Sigma or Green Belt. Now, yesterday, Casey was talk about the Lean subject, right? So we are also collaborate on a lot of Lean or even Six Sigma training, right? Right, these are some of our customers. We actually have a long list of customers. What allows 10 years that we have been in this business, right? Okay. So in a nutshell, we do provide quality training services to the industry, and of course with our strengths, we have well qualified instructors. We have best experience in conduct more training, professional service, and consulting as well, right? So you can contact our sales team, a key salesperson, Charlene, about this so-called our training or even consulting services or even coaching services. Right? Our office is based in Crystal Point, right? So you can always feel free to drop by when after the MCO. Right? So we do run a lot of free talk in our learning center as well in this Crystal Point center. Right? Now, without further ado, let me introduce today's speaker, Dr. Gerard Boyd, who is currently the Vice Principal of the Academic of Segi College Penang. Now, he has been more than 28 years of working experience. I know Dr. Gerard more than 10 years ago. So he was with another higher learning institution at that time. And he has been very active in the academics for more than 10 years. And I think he also has a lot of vast experience on conduct learning, training, talks, or workshops to many different diversified backgrounds, right? Both the adult learners or even teachers, right? I think mind science and effective multimedia presentation is one of his core area, right? Using the Microsoft PowerPoint to do that. Dr. Gerard, he actually graduated from Harvard University College. With his bachelor degree in microelectronics and computer science, right, from Penn University, and he obtained a Master of Science in System Engineering from Cardiff University, and he holds a doctorate degree in education with the focus on the education technology and multimedia. I see multimedia is one of his core competency, right? So I think tonight we definitely will be very fortunate to have him to share um, the knowledge on the topic of this mind science and multimedia presentation. Now, without further ado, I will pass over to Dr. Gerard to kickstart this evening talk. Okay, Dr. Gerard, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mui, okay, for the introduction. Okay, it's good to see all of you here tonight. Okay, and I see that tonight we have a lot of people from the industry. Roughly, I think about 100 people are attending this session right now. So my name is Gerard Boy, okay, and I'll be the presenter for this webinar. Okay, Tony, you want to show the slides? Okay, today I'll be sharing with you an idea, okay, an idea that I have been preaching, I would say, for the last 6 or more years. So a lot of teachers and also lecturers and also postgraduate students and students of mine have actually benefited from this idea that I've developed for the last 6 years. It is mind science for effective multimedia presentation, okay. The purpose of understanding or to learn this is to basically end up to have better presentation skills using multimedia. Whenever you present on PowerPoint, actually I'm using PowerPoint to present tonight. Okay, there are various ways of presenting. Okay, and we want to present in such a way that our minds can actually interpret the incoming information from the presenter in a very fluid manner, with a very interesting manner, so that your audience will be engaged. Okay. So throughout this presentation, you will see that I am actually using some of the principles to actually design this and also to present it. Okay. After this end of this presentation, you will be able to appreciate your mind better. And by appreciating your mind and how it learns and understands stuff that's coming through the eyes and the ears, you will be able, okay, to present better. Okay, for lecturers and trainers, you will be able to teach better or facilitate your session better. Okay, so let's start, okay, with this presentation today. Basically, you will, through this presentation, you will basically understand cognition. Cognition is basically the mind, how the mind works. Okay, I'm going to introduce you some basic understanding of the mind, but it is powerful, and yet you can take advantage of this understanding to help you design better presentation slides. Okay, so that you will be able to engage with your audience. Okay, so by understanding your mind, okay, you will be able to utilize, okay, this is proven science-based approaches, okay, where you have experiments done on this, and it has proven that if you do this method and use this method, you will actually improve a lot in your presentation designs, and therefore as well as to increase the effectiveness in communicating ideas to your audience. Okay, at the end of the day, in a nutshell, learn mind science so that you can present effectively. This is something new, maybe something that you have not seen before. This is not your typical how to use PowerPoint. PowerPoint is the tool, but the theory behind mind science is to allow you to understand how you can project information so the mind can actually absorb it better. And because if your audience are able to focus on what you are saying, okay, this will actually create a lot of engagement between you and your audience. To a certain extent, sometimes you can even do a very long presentation, 2 hours, 3 hours presentation. Your audience can still be engaging with you, okay, without falling asleep halfway through. So the purpose is to do that, because when we teach in the university, we have to actually engage with the student more than 2 hours, sometimes up to 3 hours of continuous lectures. So we learn this tool and we learn this science so that we are able to engage with students, and students will actually continue to listen to us for 3 hours. Okay, of course, in between we have breaks. Okay, let's start with this. So what is the learning outcome of today's webinar? Basically, you will learn how to describe what is learning. Okay, and by doing that, you will be able to design better multimedia presentations. Second, I will explain how the human memory works. Okay, I think it's very interesting to know how your brain works, right? So there are certain theories in education that we use that can be applied in presentation. One of them is information processing theory. The information processing theory, I will explain to you in detail, yet it's very simple to understand about the mind, how the mind basically process incoming information and make sense of it. There is also another theory that I will also include in this particular presentation. It will be the dual coding theory. The dual coding theory basically explains to you very simply that it is better to use two channels of learning. One channel is through the eyes and the other channel is through the ears. If you use these two channels simultaneously when you present your information, the learner will actually learn better from you or understand you better. So that is one idea. And the other idea is generative learning theory. Don't worry about all these theories because I'm not going to go very deep in these theories, but I'm going to give you surface understanding of the theories, which is good enough to tell you how the mind works and how the mind actually interprets information. If you design a slide or presentation slides that can actually generate generative learning theory, basically you are trying to basically help your audience basically to think deeper. When people start to think deeper, they are actually actively thinking. When people are actively thinking, they want to engage with you. Okay, so that's the idea here. But I will tell you in detail how it works so that you can use this as an advantage when you design slides. And finally, what are the implications of learning all this, of understanding learning, of understanding itself, and how the memory works, and how it will affect your presentation slides, and how you can actually use it and take advantage of this idea to design powerful presentation slides. Okay, so that is the idea behind this mind science for effective multimedia presentation. And this session is not going to be a one-way session. So there will be a couple of times throughout this presentation, I will be asking you questions, and I want you to interact with me. The way to interact with me is basically the only channel right now we allow that you can interact with me is through the live comments, okay, or the chat system where you can actually answer and give me feedback as I present the ideas, so that I know that you are actually following and you are not half asleep. Okay, so that is the thing that I'll be doing. So let's start this session with a question. Okay, so I'm going to ask you this question, and I want you to interact with me by typing your answer. Either it's a yes or no, okay, to this question. If you know how your brain works, the question is, if you know how your brain works or how your brain learns something, do you think it will help you make a compelling presentation? Okay, that is the question. So if you want to interact with me, you can type on the text chat whether it's a yes for you or a no for yourself. Okay, do you think that understanding the brain will actually help you to present better? Okay, that is the question. So basically, there will be a delay before I see any reply from you. I hope yes. I can see one person saying yes. Jahui saying yes. Okay, Penny Lee also say yes. Barat also say yes. Alvin also say yes. Adrian as well. So basically, yes, the answer is actually yes. Okay, so all of you are convinced that if you can understand the brain and how the brain works and how the brains absorb information and learn and interpret information, it will help you make better and compelling presentations. Presentations, they are engaging. Okay, so that is the understanding and the theory behind this whole presentation. So that if you know how the brain works, I am very sure you will be able to present even better. I'm sure you work in the industry, you present every day using PowerPoint or a tool to present, and I think you can actually take advantage of this idea, and you should be able to improve your presentation skills to the next level. And that is what I want to do. Okay, I'm not teaching anyone who has barely done presentation, but I'm teaching someone who has been doing presentations and they're thinking, how can I improve my presentation? So this is one way that can help you present better And I hope that after this session, you have learned something and you are able to apply it. Most important, to apply the ideas. Okay, before we can actually present very well, we have to understand ourselves. How exactly do we learn? Okay, the question is, how exactly do we learn? A lot of people tell me, this is a question that I always ask my students whenever I do a presentation, whenever I do this presentation on mind science, or I do presentations on models of learning, which I did today. I did a session today from 9 to 3, and I'm doing a session right now in the evening. So my area is related to the mind and how learning works in the mind. So I'm very interested in the area, and I feel that understanding the area will help me do presentations better. Okay, and this is what we teach our students as well. Okay, so how exactly do we learn? Basically, we learn through many ways. Okay, let's continue. But I'm going to show you one example how we actually learn. This example is basically from a theory called the information processing theory. This information processing theory is all about cognitive processes. That means it's about how your brain works, how your brains absorb information, how your brain basically retain this information so that you can use this information as prior knowledge so that you can use it in the future. So let me explain to you, this is a very basic idea of the information processing theory. So when we learn, okay, there are two ways that we can actually absorb information based on the information processing theory. But I can tell you that, of course, there are many ways of learning. You can learn through touch, you can learn through taste, you can even learn through your nose, okay, by smelling and identifying things. But we already touched on two senses. The senses that we're touching right now is the eye and also the ears, okay, the visuals and the audio channels. So this sensory memory, every day when we wake up in the morning, what will happen to you? When you open your eyes and you start to listen, basically you are bombarded with unlimited information when you wake up, okay? And all this information is coming through the eyes and it's going to your ears and going to your brain, okay? That is how information goes into your brain. But when unlimited information goes into your brain, your brain automatically unconsciously may only select certain information that you want to listen to or see, okay, or visualize, and that is called the selection process. And that selection process will actually select those information that you want and move it into what we call the working memory. This is the second part of the brain, okay, where it will then process what you want to see and what you have selected to hear, instead of all the unlimited information that is coming to your ears and your eyes. Okay, this is how the information goes into your brain. When it goes into your working memory, that is a process called an iterative loop. Okay, that iterative loop basically will help you encode, that means put that information into long-term memory. Okay, what is this iterative loop? I give you a very good example. If you look at a person's face for the first time, okay, and you take your glance away from the person's face and you move your eyes away from the person's face after 1 second or less than 1 second, I want to ask you this question. Can you close your eyes and see the person's face in your mind? Okay, after less than 1 second. Okay, according to science, you shouldn't be able to imagine that person's face. Okay, so that is the natural thing that's happening in our brain. You will not be able to close your eyes and see the person's face. But if you look at the person's face continuously for more than 1 second or even longer, what happens in the brain is this iterative loop will actually loop in your brain. Basically, it's a pattern of a person's face that is embedded into your memory on continuously for a number of times. Okay, if you do that process, okay, longer, you will actually be able to close your eyes and see the face of the person. Okay, so that is what the iterative loop is all about. Okay, so the thing is, can we use this idea to help our audience to understand something or even to picture something and put it into the brain? Yes, we can use this idea of the iterative loop to help us design presentations that will be more effective, where people can have a image in their brain that can last a bit longer. Okay, so when you have actually encoded the information into the long-term memory, in future, when you need those information, basically you retrieve it back from long-term memory into the working memory to process. Okay, this is how your brain works in a very basic, simple idea using the information processing theory. Okay, and I want to tell you, in education or in your experience as a student long time ago, how do you learn? Okay, basically you learn, especially Asians, especially Malaysians, we are very good at rote learning. Okay, we memorize things without understanding. Okay, so that is a technique that we have been using all these years. Is it a good technique to use? Yes, to a certain extent it's good, but I want to tell you that there are many ways of learning as well. This is not the best way of learning, but it's a good exercise if you can do it. It's a good skill if you have this skill to be able to remember things better. Okay, so based on the information processing theory, this is how the brain works. Okay, will it affect the way we present? I can tell you, yes, I will explain to you why. Okay, there's a question here. How about those who have photographic memory? Okay, those who have photographic memory, I believe it's not scientifically proven. I believe the iterative loop is very efficient. Okay, the iterative loop is very efficient. For example, we talk about science. Okay, if I see something and I can have a very fast iterative loop, a frequency that's high, that means I can imagine the image in my brain many times per second. I think that loop will help you implant all those images in your long-term memory. Okay, that is my explanation to that question of for those who have photographic memory. So for those normal people, the iterative loop maybe doesn't work so fast. Therefore, the encoding process takes a bit longer. Okay, to me, I think that is a good answer to you. Net belly. Okay, is that net belly? Sorry. Okay, let's move on. Okay, we will be actually looking at the working memory right now. Okay, another idea about the brain. Okay, the brain will learn better, as I told you, through the iterative loop. Okay, now how does that affect your presentation? Okay, let me explain to you using this graph, and it will actually make you understand better how to design a presentation that has a repetition in it. Okay, so what it means here is basically you look at the graph, this side of the graph, you can see that we have the recall rate. Okay, and over the horizontal axis we have the time. So over time, will our recall rate decay? Okay, I want to explain to you. Yes, our recall rate, meaning the things that we can remember and recall, will decay over time if we learn something only once. Okay, if it's not repeated to you, or you do not repeat your understanding of that particular item or fact, actually it will decay in memory. When it decays, after a while, you would have forgotten. Okay, that is a very natural thing that's happening in our brains. So to overcome this in your presentation, what do you do? Okay, so in our presentations, in our colleges, our lecturers will do this. For example, I'm going to teach a lesson for the next 2 hours or present something for the next 2 hours. What I do is normally in my presentation or in the content of the stuff that I'm presenting, there are certain important stuff that I want to repeat during my presentation. Okay, so if you do a presentation and you continue to repeat a couple of times during a presentation, what will happen is that you will increase the recall rate in the memory of your audience. Okay, if you can increase the recall rate, okay, for it to decay, it will take a bit longer to decay. Okay, so if you repeat that in your presentation, you will increase recall rate. But if you want to have the recall rate to be able to have a longer decay time, basically you can continue to repeat after 1 day, followed by after 1 week, your recall rate will go back up, and after 1 month. Okay, by doing this process, okay, in your presentation, especially during the day you are presenting, by repeating, you can actually increase the recall rate. By increasing the recall rate, your audience will probably remember what you said better. Okay, and for example, in education, what do we do? Not only that we have this so-called repetition in the lesson, we also have repetition after 1 day, after 1 week, and after 1 month. And how do we do that? Basically, in SAGI, we actually use online learning systems, and we actually prompt our students and remind our students of certain facts, okay, on this regular basis. When we do this, okay, either through online system or through mobile system or through the next lesson or so and forth, we can actually increase the recall rate of our students, okay, with regards to the facts that we are presenting. So this is basically a study that the scientists have done, and this is how we can actually understand the information processing, the importance of iterative loop, and implement in such a way in our presentation slides or in our teaching or in whatever we do, okay, so that we can actually increase the recall rate. And if we can do this, the audience will probably be more happier because they can understand you and they can remember the facts for a bit longer, okay? So that is how we use these ideas to help us design our lessons or our presentations. So in education, we do this. I think in the industry, if you want to convince somebody and to have that somebody remember your product or remember the features of your product, can you use this idea in your presentation? And that is the question I want to ask you, right? If you think this is a very good idea that you can implement in your presentation and get people to remember certain things through repetition in your presentation, then you have actually used mind science, okay, in your presentation. So this is something that you should think about how you can actually use this, okay, in your presentation. So there's a question here, Dr. Gerard. Does this mean do the repetition in the next day of the training session? I am coming from perspective of a soft skills trainer. Okay, does it mean? Let me ponder on this question first. Does this means do the repetition in the very next day of the training session? Okay, according to this graph, yes, it is important. 1 day later, you do the repetition. But of course, your class has ended. The way that you can repeat this idea is basically through technology. If you are a trainer, you can actually send messages to your audience or your trainees on the ideas that you have actually taught yesterday, and you just SMS them short messages or WhatsApp them short messages to remind them of those facts. And that is something that you can do easily without having to come face to face with your audience. Okay, and even after 1 week, you keep on reminding them. After 1 month, again a refresher. So if you do that, then actually you can actually help the audience to retain the recall rate, and they can remember better for a longer period of time. Okay, so that is the idea here. Okay, we will move on. Okay, now I want to basically share with you about the memory. By understanding the brain and how the brain works, okay, it's going to help you design your presentation slides. Okay, there are principles that I can teach you later. Okay, there's a question from Silva. Before I continue, there's a question from Selva Kumar. Is this more towards like the mind mapping technique? Okay, basically, mind mapping technique is a technique to help you remember things. Okay, by doing drawing on a piece of paper. This is somewhat similar, but not totally similar, but it's still related to the brain, how to make the brain remember things, okay? So by understanding the brain further, you can actually use many techniques. Mind mapping is just one technique of many, many techniques that you can use to help people to remember or help yourself to remember things. So I'm going to continue with this human memory. So the human memory, as you know, there are 3 areas. One is the sensory memory, where all the information comes through the eyes and the ears. And all this information that comes through the eyes and the ears, according to information processing theory, will be selected by you to a certain extent and put into the short-term memory or the working memory. And information will be processed then before it goes to the long-term memory. So these are the 3 parts of memory that we can actually try to understand how they work. And by understanding how they work, we can actually take advantage of this to design very powerful presentation slides. Okay, let me continue. I'll be talking about the sensory memory now. Okay, now I'm going to focus on the sensory memory. Okay, and I'm going to do some experiments with you all. Okay, about 100 of you. I want to do an experiment with you because I'm a science-based person. I'm also an engineer by practice a long time ago before I went to academic. So I like to do experiments to prove an idea. Okay, I'm going to do some experiments now. It's very interesting. If you interact with me, I think you will learn better and learn more from me. Okay, so I'm going to look at the sensory memory and tell you that the sensory memory can only remember for a very short time. And I will show you this experiment and you tell me whether I'm telling you the right thing or not. Okay, let's move on. I'm going to now do an experiment. Okay, if you are ready, please look at the screen. Okay, when you are ready, look at the screen. I will be starting the experiment. Okay, what I want you to do is to glance at this picture. Okay, glance at this picture. Are you ready? Ready? Glance at this picture and tell me now, can you recall or describe in detail what you saw? Okay, I want you to interact with me through the live chat. You tell me what you saw just now. And if you can describe detailedly, even better. Maybe the colors of the animals, how many animals, what are the animals, where is the animal located in the left or the right of the screen, top or the bottom of the screen. Can you describe that to me and recall from the image? If you can't, just say no. If you can, just explain to me how you to write down the animals that you saw. Okay, so I'll be waiting here for a bit because there is a delay. Okay, monkey hanging on a tree. So Colin Chi is able to remember one monkey out of so many animals. Okay, animals like hippo, you can also remember one. Zebra on the right, you can remember one. Can you remember more than one? Okay, you can remember that it's colorful. I'm asking you whether you can recall the what you saw, basically the animals. Okay, Eric says 7 animals. Okay, zebra, elephant, tiger, hippo, and what? Okay, you only gave me 3 or 4. Soleha says that it's a monkey, zebra, hippo, tiger. Good. Okay, giraffe, elephant, zebra, crocodile, monkey, hippo, lion, and giraffe, and Maine Coon, giraffe. Evelyn, elephant, only one animal. Okay, thank you very much for interacting with me. And I know that all of you are now awake and interacting and also listening to me, paying attention. Very good. This is what I want. Okay. Okay, let's move on. And I'm going to show you this. Okay, basically there were how many animals? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 animals. Yes, Colin, is it? Colin was right. There were 7 animals, but he was not able to recall all the animals. Okay, the reason why I'm doing this experiment is to tell you that if I show you a piece of picture or you see something for the first time and you glance your eyes away from the image after about 1 second, it is only natural if you cannot remember. Okay, it is only natural you cannot remember. Okay, because your brain is designed to not remember whatever information that you see. Okay, if whatever information that you see all goes into your brain, do you know how busy you're going to be? Basically, your brain will be bombarded with too much information until you are not able to even sleep or even rest because you will be bombarded with too much information. So nature has designed in such a way that your brain can actually see a lot of things and hear a lot of things, but can also effectively select certain things to see and input into the brain. Okay, so this is the feature of the sensory memory. Okay, so we will move on from this experiment. So I've explained to you now that your sensory memory can only remember for a very short period and also can remember only a couple of items and not everything. Okay. So now, after testing your eye like an optometrist, I want to test your ear. Okay, I'm now going to pretend to be an ENT doctor, and I want to test your ear and see whether your ear is actually normal or not. Okay, so I want you to listen to this, and I will ask you a question and see whether you can answer me. Okay, so I'm going to move on. So I want you to listen carefully. Okay, thank you for paying attention and listening to the sounds. Now the question will be in the next slide. The question is, can you recall the sequence of animal calls, the correct sequence of animal calls? If you can, please type the sequence and show me on the live comments so that I can actually know whether you are normal or not based on your hearing, whether you have a normal hearing or you have an abnormal hearing. Can you type it so that I can see your answers? Okay, I'll be waiting here for a couple of seconds before I see anything coming in. Okay, I've got some answers now coming in very fast. We have birds, monkey, and tiger. Birds, elephant, and monkey. Is that the correct sequence? Bird, cow, and puppy. Bird, elephant, and monkey. Bird, elephant, and monkeys. Okay, a lot of people can remember birds. Okay, never mind. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to show you the answer, not the answer. I'm going to give you an MCQ. Okay, okay. Of these answers, A, B, or C, which one would be the answer to you? Okay, some of you say it's bird. Okay, some people say, most people say it's bird. Okay, if you say it's the bird, then I assume that based on logic, you will actually either select A or C, right? Okay, if you can select either A or C, after that, I will actually give you the answer. Okay, Jiahui says A. Mei Chi says it's still a do GB. Okay, whatever. Okay, sounds like a screeching sound. Okay, can't really. Bird can't call dog, puppy. Okay, some people say it's C. Some people say it's tiger. Some say it's A. It's either a or a C because most of you say the first call was a bird. So that's a mixture of between A and C. Okay, so basically I can see 50% saying C and 50% saying A. Saying A. Okay, I want to tell you why you are doing that way. Why you are doing it? Why you are selecting either a C or A is because it doesn't mean that you select actually the right answer is A. Okay, I want to show you the right answer is A. But because you select A, it's not because you know the whole sequence. Okay, because you have left with two choices, either a C or A. So by understanding that, and if you can recall another one, especially the last one, which is like a lion, then most likely you will select A. But a lot of you select C as well. Okay, so basically, what I want to tell you is that if I like the experiment that I did for your eyes, I did it for your ear. So your ear can listen to a lot of things, but your ear can only remember certain sounds. You will not be able to remember all the sequence of sounds. Okay, why? Because your ear is built in such a way, okay, to listen to things and not to take everything in all at once. Okay, if you do that, if your ear is functioning that way, then I can tell you safely. I'm not a medical doctor, but I can tell you safely to a certain extent, your ears are normal. Okay, so this is the second experiment that I did to explain to you how short the memory of your ear can actually remember things. Okay, you will not be able to remember. Okay, now now I want to do another experiment, and I think you will get it right again. I want you to be able to look at this like the same picture again. Now I'm giving it a bit longer for you to dwell in it, okay, to look at this picture for a longer period because I want to activate your iterative loop. You see, based on the information processing theory, I told you there's an iterative loop in your brain, in your working memory, where it will continue to see and to try to recall. So you actually, the longer you look at this picture, the more information or the brighter the information will be retained in your memory. And because of that process of iterative loop, by looking at the picture longer, you will able to recall all the animals. Most likely, you'll be able to do better than the previous experiment. Okay, I think I've shown you long enough. If you can actually type in the answers now and see whether most of you can get more of the animals that you have seen using the iterative loop. That means what you have done is basically you have been repeating the image in your brain for a while, and because of that process, you can actually remember more animals and remember more details. Okay, so if you type it on the screen, I will be able to see. Okay, I'm waiting. Okay, now we have Colin. Colin is very participative. Yeah, Colin Chi. Monkey, hippo, zebra, giraffe, alligator, lion, elephant. Yep. Very good. Okay, we have Mush here saying monkey, hippo, zebra, giraffe, croc, elephant, and lion. Okay, now I can see that most of you will be able to recall more of the animals. Okay, and if you are able to recall more of the animals that you see, that you saw on the picture, I want to tell you the information processing theory is actually at work in your memory. Okay, so basically using the iterative loop, using repetition a couple of times, you can actually remember better. Okay, so that is another experiment to show you how your brain works if you are able to show something on the screen slightly longer so that the audience can absorb the information, because it takes time for the memory to absorb information. Okay, so if you do that in your presentation slides, that means you don't go too fast, but you go at a very good pace where the memory can actually do an iterative loop of the information. You can actually present better at the end of the day, because the people that are listening to you actually can remember what you say and remember what you show them. Okay, so that is the idea here. Okay, let's move on. Very good. A lot of people are interacting. Tonight we have close to about 120 people watching right now. Okay. Okay, I want to go to the next thing. Okay, the next idea is this idea of what we call the dual learning channel or the dual coding theory. Okay, I just want to explain to you, there's no experiment here. Okay, I want to tell you that according to science, or maybe according to your experience in learning, you will also notice that you will learn better if you see and you listen simultaneously to a presentation. So if you are a presenter, if you present something on the slide, at the same time you narrate it concurrently, it will be easier for a person to understand you versus looking at it and your narration and the image is not synchronized. Okay, if you synchronize the image and the narration together, and those two information goes to the eyes and the ears simultaneously, it will improve learning. Okay, it will improve understanding. Okay, this is a fact, and this is proven by science. Okay, so whenever you do any presentation, try to use pictures to show and try to narrate the idea using your narration. Okay, therefore, if you do that simultaneously and have these two information goes through the eyes and the ears together, you will actually present better. So this is one idea that you should take back, which is a very simple, easy idea to remember. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Okay, it will actually improve cognitive processes. Okay, why? Because I saw that some of you are from the semiconductor industry, and always the semiconductor industry, especially Intel, will tell you more cores in one processor will be faster than having a single core in a processor, right? So this is the same. You are having two channels, two processors, collecting information and processing it together in your working memory. So using two processors is always better than using one processor as a medium for learning or understanding. Okay, now I want to go to the short-term memory. I got to speed it up so that I can finish in 1 hour, hopefully. Short-term memory. So I want to do some experiments here again to tell you that your short-term memory has a limited capacity. Okay, so let's start this idea. Okay, the working memory or the short-term memory have limited capacity. Okay, limited capacity means here that if you have a bucket when you fill up with water, that is the maximum amount of water that can fill up the bucket. If you fill up a bucket continuously after it's filled, it will overflow. So what this analogy is the same in your when you consider the brain, how it learns. Basically, if you overflow the capacity of your working memory, it will go overflow, and this is what we call in science cognitive overloading. Okay, you are overloading your working memory until it's not able to process information effectively. Okay, and because of this idea of the working memory is limited, you will use this idea or understanding to help you design better slides. So what I'm trying to do and tell you is that whenever you design a slides, you should have limited information on your slide. Do not put too much information because your working memory is limited. You don't want to cause an overflow. Okay, just like a bucket when you fill up waters. Okay, and I want to tell you based on science, your working memory, okay, which is the second part of your memory, where information will come in through the eyes and ears and to your working memory. Your working memory at any one time can only process about 7 items, okay, or we call it 7 chunks of information. If you go beyond 7, okay, most of the time you will have what we call a cognitive overload, and therefore your brain will be confused, and it will be confused until you are not able to pay attention, and you will lose focus. And when you lose focus, you start to doze off. Okay, that's what happens in the presentation. If there are too much material being displayed, okay, most of the time you will overload the cognitive processes in your working memory, and therefore the person will tend to stay away and not listen to you anymore. Okay, so at any one time, according to science, there are between 5 to 9 items. Okay, you go beyond 9 items, I can guarantee you people will doze off and will not listen to you. Okay, and if this information 5 to 9 items is in your working memory, it can also be in the working memory for a very short period if it doesn't go to the long-term memory. Okay, anything that goes to your working memory and doesn't goes into your long-term memory basically will be forgotten as well. Okay. Okay, there is, I heard the brain has trouble trying to listen to words and read words at the same time. Oh, this is good. Okay, never have more than 3 to 4 words on the screen. Okay, that is correct, Colin. Okay, please comment. Okay, basically, what Colin is trying to ask is, you see, whenever you put words in the slides, basically the audience tend to read it. Okay, the presenter can actually read from the slide, okay, but most of the time the audience will actually read it. So when you read it, you are actually listening to yourself through the ear, through the channel, okay, in your memory. So, and you are competing with the presenter. The presenter is also presenting through your ears, and if you are reading, okay, this will disrupt your listening of the presentation. And when this happens, it can actually overload what we call the auditory part of the channel. Okay, I hope I've answered this. The question is not very clear to me, but anyway, I will continue to have you ask questions, Colin. Very good. Okay, I'll continue here. So basically, at any moment of time, your working memory have to have this limited amount of information. Okay. So let me continue. Okay, I want to do this experiment. One more experiment to show you, to prove to you that your memory is actually very limited. Okay, so if you look at this presentation right now in your screen, I've got these yellow dots. Okay, sorry, orange dots on the screen. I'm going to signal to you, and I want you to be able to follow the signal. And when I repeat the slide, you will be able to tell me whether you can remember the signals, okay, from one signal to another. Okay, are you ready? If you are ready, I'm going to start the process. Okay, let's start. I'm going to show you, and you start to remember the sequence. Okay, I have shown you to a certain extent 5 signals on the slide just now. Okay, and I want you to be able to tell me whether you got the right answer. Okay, now the answer is in your brain. I'm going to show you the answer right now on the screen, and later you can actually say that you have got it right or wrong, on the text chat. So this is the answer. First spot, second spot, third spot, fourth spot, and the fifth spot. Okay, were you able to remember the sequence of where the signals were coming from? If you think you can remember truthfully, you tell me yes. If you cannot remember, say no on the text chat. Okay, I'm waiting for the answers from the text chat. It will be coming soon. Okay, yes, I can remember. Colin says remember. Victor Bong said yes, yes. Adrian say yes. Kelvin Koo say yes. Eric Kaur say yes. Hong Kyong said yes. Majority of you say yes. Okay, this experiment has proven to you, if I give you enough information and not too much information, most likely you will be able to remember the sequence. And I'm very happy. Okay, Patricia say no, it's okay. Okay, majority of you, 99% of you are able to get it right. And Miss Yu says that 4 out of 5 is okay. Okay, so let me now continue with the experiment. Okay, and you tell me whether you can remember. I'm going to do the second part of the experiment now. Okay, and I want you to watch and look at the screen. This is the second part of the experiment. I'm going to show you some sequence again, and I want you to tell me whether you are able to remember the whole sequence. Okay, so let's start. Okay, now I am going to show you the answers. Okay, this is the second experiment. I'm going to show you the answers, and I want you to honestly tell me, without having jotted down the answer on a piece of paper, tell me whether you can remember the sequence correctly. Okay, I'm going to show you the answers now. Okay, first signal, second signal, third signal, fourth signal, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and ninth. Were you able to remember the 9 signals in that particular sequence? If you can, say yes. If you can't, just say no on the screen. If I'm right, I can be sure that majority of you will not be able to remember these 9 signals in the sequence that I've shown you. Okay, I'm waiting for your answers on the text chat. 6 out of 9, Colin is always the first to answer. Good. 4 out of 9 signals. 2 out of 9 signals, no. Vincent says no. Third gone cases, okay? Not only 8, okay? No, no, no. Up to 5, 4 out of 9. No, 4 out of 9, 5 out of 9. No, only a few. Nope, I struggle. Yes, you'll be struggling, of course. Okay, very good. I see all the answers. You are not able to remember the 9 sequence of the 9 signals based on the sequence that I've shown you. And I want to congratulate you because you have a normal brain. Give yourself a pat on the shoulder, okay, to tell yourself that you have a normal working memory. Okay, very good. I'm so happy that all of you are normal, okay, have a normal brain. Okay, that is a good experiment to tell you that your working memory, okay, when it sees and hears something, if it's not too many information all at one time, you will probably remember it, okay, in your short-term memory. But if there are more items, 7 or more, normally 7 or more, okay, most likely your working memory will be overloaded cognitively, and this will cause you to get confused and lose the sequence in your working memory. Okay, so this is an experiment to show you that you have a normal working memory, and you should not be able, and you should not actually be able to remember more than the 7 items that I showed you. Okay, so that is normal to everyone. I'm happy that everyone is normal. Okay, so we will go to the next thing. Now I am going to explain to you now. okay, you know for a fact that your working memory is limited, okay, just like a bucket. You can only fill a limited amount of water until it's at the top. If not, it will overfill. So I'm going to share with you what is inside this pail of water, okay? What I'm trying to say is what is inside your working memory. At any one time, what is happening in your working memory? You know that your working memory, the total capacitor is always limited, okay? It's limited by this bucket of information, okay? What is inside this bucket at any one time? I will explain to you now. At any one time, your working memory, which has limited capacity, will have three types of processing going on in your brain. The first processing is basically what we call cognitive noise. Cognitive noise is related to information that is in your brain right now, okay, that is not related to what I'm trying to explain to you or what you're trying to understand me through, okay, through this channel. So if your brain right now is thinking about what I'm going to eat for my breakfast tomorrow, okay, then that is the noise that is happening in your working memory at this moment, okay? So that is the example of what we call cognitive noise. Besides cognitive noise that is in your working memory, there are another two processes. The other process that is happening in your working memory right now is called the essential processing. Essential processing basically refers to surface learning. So as I'm talking, as you are listening to me, you are trying to make sense of what I am trying to say. And that process is called essential processing in your working memory. And that is what we also call surface learning. Basically, your cognitive processes is focusing on relevant information that I'm trying to tell you, okay? And your brain is actually thinking. The third thing that's happening in your brain is what we call generative processing. Generative processing is basically deep thinking, okay? Whatever information that you see through your eyes and your ears, when it goes to your working memory, you will do surface learning. But for you to do deep thinking and to understand what you really is looking at or listening to, you have to do deep thinking. Deep thinking is a process whereby you will extract prior knowledge that we have learned many years ago. You bring that knowledge to the working memory and you process it together with the new information that is coming to your ears and eyes. And if you do that and you understand and you get a aha moment, therefore you have done what we call deep thinking. Okay, so these three processes are at any one time is basically happening in your working memory. Okay, so if you can manage these processes in your working memory, you will never cause it to go cognitively overloaded. Okay, let me further explain to you this idea. Just imagine you look at this particular diagram. You have a total cognitive capacity, and if you have this total cognitive load, and this is the free capacity, what if this happens? Okay, what if this happens? This happens because I explained to you earlier what is cognitive noise. You are thinking about what you are going to have breakfast tomorrow, but if you continue to think what you will have for your lunch and dinner and how you are going to cook and what are you going to buy while you are listening to me right now, okay, then you will have such a profile in your working memory. That means this can cause an overload in your working memory. You're trying to listen to me hard. You're trying to process what I'm trying to say using deep thinking. At the same time, you're thinking about beyond having breakfast. You're thinking about dinner. You're thinking about lunch. You're thinking about how you are going to cook them, what kind of ingredients you're buying. You're thinking about the recipe at the same time. Then this thing will happen to your brain. When this happens to your brain, and if you concentrate in this noise, okay, most of the time you will not understand me. Okay, so for us as presenters, and we design slides, what kind of slides can we design to make sure that our audience will not have this cognitive noise in their brains? Okay, we have to design very useful slides, effective slides that can actually engage with our participants. If you are engrossed and engaging with the presenter, most of the time the noise will go away. When the noise goes away, you will use that working capacity in your working memory, okay, to process surface learning, and deep thinking. Okay, I will show you. What we want is basically, this is a profile when you are not focused, where you have noise causing a cognitive overload. What you want to do is basically to reduce the noise so that you have more space, that you can use for surface learning and also deep thinking. So if you can design a slide to be able to have this profile at any one time, okay, among your audience, I can guarantee you that your audience will pay attention and focus, okay, on what you are trying to say. Okay, this is a fact. This has been proven by science. Okay, if you use the mind science for effective multimedia presentation, you use those principles and use this understanding of the brain, you will be able to do very effective presentation. And your crowd, the crowd that is with you, will be basically focusing on what you're trying to say, and they are so happy that they are understanding you better, and they will keep on following and motivated to continue to listen. Okay, so that is the story behind mind science, okay, for effective multimedia presentation. Okay, I will continue further. We have currently 145 visitors live. Okay, I'll continue. Okay, there are many ways for you to basically enhance the short-term memory so that the short-term memory or your audience will be able to focus on learning or focus on listening to your presentation. First of all, what you need to do is basically provide a stimuli, okay, a presentation slide that will cognitively cause an interest in the person to want to learn from you or to want to listen from you. Okay, that is one area. Second area is that whenever you explain something new, you will also want to gauge whether your audience have certain prior knowledge that will allow them to process the new information that you are presenting. Okay, so it's very good for you to start your presentation by asking questions so that you can understand your audiences, so that you will know where they are in terms of their prior knowledge before you share some new information with them. So that is so important. Okay, if you find that your audience forgot about certain things that they have learned or they are understood a long time ago, then you can, in the beginning of your presentation, you can actually do a recall. Okay, when you do a recall, it will come out from the long-term memory and it will help the person who is listening to you to actually better understand you. So that is one way. Another way is to emphasize the learning elements in your slides. If you look at these slides, I am moving from one idea to the next idea. What am I doing? I'm doing what we call storytelling. I'm emphasizing the right images at the right moment when I explain it, so you can follow me. Okay, I'm doing that. Okay, this is one of the principles. This is called signaling principle, by the way. Next is organizing your material. If you can organize your material in a logical way, it will be easier to remember. Okay, and finally, remember the repetition, the iterative loop in the information processing theory. So use repetitive so-called moments in your presentation so that you can repeat certain key information so that your audience can actually have a better recall rate. And because he or she has a better recall rate, he or she will be able to retain that information longer in the memory. And that is what you want to do. If you want to give a good impression when you're doing a presentation, and you can use this, I can guarantee you to a certain extent that your audience will go back after a few days and say, oh, this presenter that I heard from a couple of days attended this seminar, he's a great presenter. You know why? Until today, I can still remember what he said. Okay, that is what you want to have, and in this kind of impact on your audience. If you use these techniques, I can tell you, you can actually make an impact on your audience. Okay, next we will move on. We will now look at the long-term memory, how the long-term memory works. Okay, by understanding how the long-term memory works, you will be able to understand how deep thinking works. When you understand how deep thinking works, then you can present in such a way to encourage deep thinking in your audience. When your audience are engaged with you doing deep thinking while you are presenting, you can be for sure and know that they are focused and they are very, very attentive and they are paying attention to you almost 100% of the time. Okay, so understanding the long-term memory will help as well. So let me explain to you how we put long-term information and how we build this information into the memory. Okay, this is a memory model based on Atkinson-Shiffrin model, okay, about the memory. I'm going to explain to you using multimedia principles. So I'm not going to explain to you using this slide. I'm going to modify this slide now. I'm going to explain to you now one by one, item by item. So as you know, our sensory memories are through our eyes and ears. Okay, whatever we see or hear, it's a pattern of thought. Okay, that will go into the memory, and that pattern is something like that. I'm just giving you a symbolic structure of a pattern. Okay, so when things goes into your eyes and ears, what will happen that your eyes and ears will select the information that you want to pay attention to or by listening or hearing, and this information will go into the short-term memory. Okay, when this information go into the short-term memory, what the short-term memory will do, it will start to go back to long-term memory to find prior knowledge. Okay, knowledge or information that is related to the new information that you are seeing and listening to, and it will start to process and do comparison and do analysis. Okay, the outcome of this analysis is that there will be two ways of learning. The first way is that the input, which is through the sensory memory, and the prior knowledge, the knowledge that you have previously, are related. Okay, are related, and because of this relation, we call this form of learning or understanding assimilation. What it means is basically what you see or heard, which is new, which is related to a set of prior knowledge, will come together to build a new pattern in your brain. Okay, this is a pattern that will happen, a pattern of thoughts. We call it schema of thoughts in your brain. Okay, that's one way of understanding how your brain works. The second way is that it compares with the information that is coming in with prior knowledge. And if this comparison is done and there is no connection between the new information and also the old information or the prior knowledge that you have in your brain, then what we have is what we call accommodation. Accommodation is a form of learning or a way where you imprint those patterns of thoughts into your long-term memory. And because of accommodation, you will have a new pattern in your long-term memory. That pattern is another set of information that is not related to old information. So it will have a standalone kind of thing, a kind of pattern in your long-term memory. To improve what you learn, okay, if you want to have more complex information related to what you just recently learned, and if you actually learn those complex stuff related to what you have just learned, then when this information come together in your working memory, you will compare them and you find that these are related information. Then that kind of learning will be called assimilation. Okay, assimilation. So these are the two ways of how the brain works, okay, and store information in long-term memory. Okay, here you can see that prior knowledge is important in learning as well. Okay, so let me continue. Making sense is very important. I always tell people understanding is the key to remembering. If you cannot understand, yes, you can remember, but whatever you remember, you will forget over time. Okay, worse still, you can't even use those knowledge to apply in the real world. If you understand, if you remember without understanding. So understanding is the key to remembering. Okay, it's a very important idea. So how do we understand? How does the brain understand and make meaning out of what we see and hear? Okay, and this is the theory. They call it the generative learning theory. And according to the generative learning theory, understanding and remembering of new knowledge involves actively integrating what you see and hear, the stimuli, with what you already know. Okay, if you look at this theory, and this theory directly tells you to make sense of things, you must have prior knowledge. If you do not have prior knowledge, I'm not saying that you will not be able to learn new things, but you will have to learn new things based on the very fundamental level, not complex stuff. Okay, I can give you one example. Okay, when you were in kindergarten, what did the teacher teach you? Okay, the teacher taught you A to Z, correct or not? You will remember and you will rhyme, you will sing a song related to A to Z so that you can remember the sequence of the alphabets. Okay, so that is what you learn in kindergarten, and that stimuli basically goes into your long-term memory through the process of iterative learning. Okay, or we call it rote learning. When you have that basic understanding, basic pattern in your brain, the next time when you go to standard 1, okay, for the first day in class, the teacher put up on the blackboard the word CAT and tell you that symbol is cat, CAT, and you tell yourself, teacher, this is not cat. Cat doesn't. It's not that way. The cat is this size, is this feature, has this fur and that, and these are the features. But the symbol that you wrote on the screen is CAT, and but it doesn't represent a cat. Okay, but the student start to ponder now. Okay, when the teacher said yes, this is cat, then the students will start to ponder what will happen in the brain. Deep thinking will start happening. When deep thinking happens, what it means is basically the student at Standard 1 start to realize that CAT, basically comes from A to Z. I have learned A to Z in primary school, in the kindergarten. Now I see a new symbol that is constructed using the A to Z, and now I start to have a aha moment, and I tell myself, oh, I can actually use A to Z and put them in a particular sequence like CAT, and this is how we create words. Okay, and we create words by spelling it. Okay, so this deep thinking of the student at that moment of time tells the student that this is the way we construct words using the alphabets A to Z. Okay, so that is generative learning in the brain. Okay, and the students, by the time they reach standard 3, standard 4, standard 5, they will study grammar. Using grammar, they are able to construct sentences. After constructing sentences, what do they learn? They learn how to write an essay. After they learn how to write an essay, what do they learn? They start to learn how to write a chapter. And by the time you can write 5 chapters, you can submit your thesis and get your doctorate. Okay, that is how you progress in terms of intellectual capability. Okay, in the education world. So that is how the brain works and how the brain actually consumes information on top of old information and continue to build, okay, in your long-term memory. Okay, let's continue. Okay, I'm going to show you this example. This example is the example that I already explained to you. Okay, the stimuli is cat. Okay, that's written on the board for a standard 1 student. So the standard 1 student that start to do deep thinking, and after doing a bit of deep thinking, oh, now I realize this is how I spell and create words. Okay, so this happened, and now these students start to learn how to do spelling. Okay, next, I want to show you this this picture here. I want you to interact with me just in case you're still you have dozed off, so that I know that you're still with me. I want you to tell me on the text chat, what is this symbol that you see? Can you recognize this symbol? If you can, just type it on the text chat. Okay. What is this? This matchstick symbol, what is this? Anyone? Okay, I will see answers coming in. Colin say giraffe. Okay. Oh, Dr. Yap, you are here. Giraffe. Okay. And all of you say giraffe. Okay. Very good. Okay. Why do you all say giraffe? Okay. Because you notice that this picture, you can see there's a long neck, right? This long neck of this matchstick figure reminds you of a giraffe. So what you are doing is basically you are pulling information from your long-term memory because you've seen a giraffe before and you know the characteristics of a giraffe. You are able to see this matchstick figure and immediately you do an image processing in your brain, your working memory, and you are able to identify it as a giraffe. Okay, that is what's happening in your brain. And if you do that, and you naturally you will do that without noticing. Okay. So therefore, I'm trying to explain to you what is happening in the brain. Basically, what happens is you see the matchstick and it goes to the working memory. Automatically, the long-term memory image of a giraffe will come out, and you superimpose them. You can see that the matchstick figure is actually a giraffe. Okay, that is what's happening in your brain. Okay. Next, I want to show you this graph. Okay, you don't have to answer me, but I'm going to show you this graph. Okay, if I show you this graph, will you be able to interpret? Okay, if you are able to interpret this graph, then I can explain to you. Basically, you have certain prior knowledge. If you can only interpret this graph if you have prior knowledge, and those prior knowledge is related to the word revenue and year over year. If you can remember or you know the word revenue and year over year, you will be able to look at the graph and start to analyze it, and immediately you make sense of it. When you make sense of it, then you start to tell yourself, okay, according to the graph, revenue is trending positive, but year over year, growth was stagnant and below 10%. So when you interpret this correctly, what it means is basically that you look at this stimuli, and you picture this, and you look at some of the words, and you start to pull out these words, and you know the meaning of these words, and when you know the meanings of these words, you are able to interpret the graph. And that is how you do deep thinking in a way. So you can interpret and understand the graph. It means that deep thinking is happening in your brain. Okay. Next, I want to continue this. Okay, so I'm coming towards the end of the presentation. So I want to tell you that the implications of learning and understanding, of understanding and the memory is actually very, very important, and it can actually help you to do a better multimedia presentation. Why? Because you now know that there's this iterative loop, okay, that is working in your mind. So if you take advantage of the iterative loop and you do a repetition in your presentation once in a while, you can actually increase the recall rate. That is one example, okay, how it can affect the way you present. Second, you also know that there are two sensory channels in your learning process. You use the eyes and ears. So maximize these two channels. Each time you explain something, show a picture and explain it, okay, simultaneously, so that the audience can actually use these two channels to process information. Next, you know that the working memory is limited. And because the working memory is limited, you should not cognitively overload the working memory or at any one time. What it means is basically in practice, in your slides, you do not overload too much information. Okay, that is one idea again. Another idea is that to make sense, to have people focus in what you are presenting, you should understand that for people to make sense of what you're trying to say, they must have prior knowledge. Okay, if they don't have prior knowledge, you need to ignite prior knowledge in them before you give them new information so that they can make sense. If you make sense during a presentation to your audience, okay, your audience makes sense of what you're trying to say, okay, to a certain extent, they will be able to focus and motivated to basically continue to listen to you. Okay, so that is one of the areas that you should be thinking of when you present your slides or when you design your slides. Okay, finally, that is part one. I want to show you the other part, which will not be continuing, but I want to show you how we actually learn all these principles. Okay, basically, mind science is originated from this theory called cognitive theory of multimedia learning, and in this theory, there are principles. Okay, principles that can help you to reduce noise in the working memory. There are also principles to help you manage surface learning, and there are also principles to generate or to encourage generative learning or deep thinking of your audience while they are listening to you. So if you continue to learn Mayer's cognitive theory of multimedia learning, you will be able to understand how the brain works and use those principles to apply into your presentation. And if you can apply, I can tell you that you will create very effective multimedia presentations. Okay, so that's the end of my presentation. And before that, 5 more minutes to show you an example of how the multimedia principles can actually affect the change in your presentation. Okay, let me explain to you. This is the first version of a presentation slide. For example, let's say you want to explain what is advertising. You research your material, you go to the internet, you read books, and this is the content. You paste the content on the slide and you start to explain. Will this form actually, this format, will it be very effective? I can tell you, or you can actually tell me that it's not. Okay, so what can we do? So if you learn mind science and you apply those principles, you can actually convert this presentation. The first part, I'm going to take up the first part. This first part, trying to explain what's advertising, can be in this format. Okay, this format would allow you to present better. Then you will say advertising is a form of communication for marketing to encourage, to persuade, and to manipulate an audience to take some action. Okay, why? Because we want the results to drive consumer behavior towards some commercial offering, political or ideological offering. Okay, so this is a change in the presentation of this particular paragraph into a format that is better for presentation, okay, so that your audience can follow you. Second, I want to tell you another principle. This is called the multimedia principle. Okay, it says that when you present, try to say it visually. Okay, if you say it visually, what it means is that you do not put a lot of text, but you put a lot of visuals, okay, in your presentation, because human process image quicker than textual information as fast as 30 milliseconds. Okay, and because of that, I can change the earlier presentation slides and make it this format. And I can actually present it using this now. Advertising is a form of communication for marketing to encourage one, second to persuade, third to manipulate. Why? Because we want to drive consumer behavior to certain offerings that we are offering through the advertisement. Okay, if you look at these three versions of presentation, okay, which one do you think is most effective in the presentation? And people will follow, and people will understand, and people will want to listen to you. Version 1, 2, or 3. So this is the last question for the night. So you just type your answer on the screen and tell me it's either 1, 2, or 3. What do you think? What do you think? Is it version 1, version 2, or version 3? Lai Kwan Lo say version 3. Borneo Tiger, version 3. Chow, version 3. Jude, version 3. Dr. Yap, version 3. Okay, I can see that all of you are agreeing with me. Very good. Okay, so let me tell you, at the end of the day, version 3 is definitely the best version to present what is advertising, okay, based on these three versions. Okay, and how do I get myself to be able to convert my presentation slides from textual information to a bulleted text information, and finally a pictorial presentation of advertising? And I can tell you the progress of doing this. If you know mind science will tell you to do version 3 all the time. Okay, if you practice mind science, I can say for sure that you will improve your presentation to the next level if you use mind science. Okay, so finally I will end by saying thank you to everyone, and I would like to further say that mind science for effective presentation will actually increase attention. If you design your slides based on mind science, increase attention. It will manage surface learning and finally foster deep thinking. And your audience will be amazed with how you present, and they will be alert, they will be focused, and they will continue to listen to you for hours without dozing off. Okay, so this is the whole idea about mind science and how it can actually improve and make you or elevate your presentation skills to the next level. Okay, thank you very much.
All right. Well, thank you, Dr. Gerard, for presenting the very interesting topic. I think the very good interactions, the Q&A, I mean the question that you put up and the example that provided by Dr. Gerard is, I hope you have gained how this is a cognitive approach of having this effective multimedia presentation. I mean, this is just a surface of the knowledge, all right? So if you are interested to go deeper, all right, we do have a 2 days training course on this one, and then we'll learn the detailed techniques and approach to do that. Feel free to let us know. Now we are open for question. I'm sharing my screen for Q&A, right? So to ask question, if you have any further question on this topic on the mind science for effective.
I think there was a question from Colin. I saw it while I was presenting.
Oh, okay.
Very interesting question, but I can't find the question again. I think
Just
it's from
about 4 or 5 years old. Earlier, is it earlier one? Yeah.
If I can find, then I can answer. If not, if Colin is still online, you can actually ask the question again. There was a question that I saw, an interesting question that I can actually answer. He was asking whether, I think I can remember the question. He was asking whether if the information, if you put a lot of information on your slide, and if you can show the, yes,
Yeah, this one.
Okay,
signaling.
okay, he said that if you put a lot of information on the screen, must it be done one at a time? Yes, it's correct. If you put a lot of information, you do not show all the information all at once. What you can do is that you use the signaling principle, one of the multimedia principles, to actually signal the information as you present. Okay, and if you do that, that process is what we call storytelling. Okay, that is a sequence in what you're presenting, and if people can pick and understand what you're trying to explain, they will follow you. When they follow you, they will pay attention. Okay, versus putting everything on the screen. Okay, and when if you do that, what you are doing is actually you are giving the option to the audience to actually look at the screen, read other portions of the screen while you present another portion. So at the end of the day, there's a missing, there's no synchronization between you and the audience if you do that. Okay, so signaling process is very important. So signaling process is one of the process to reduce noise in the working memory. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Any more questions? Anyone ask any more questions?
You can type. I continue to type in the live comments.
Okay, Colin said that there were many times that you used more than 7 words. Yes, you are right. Sometimes I use more than 7 words. That is also the thing that I have to think about when I design my slides. I want to tell you how many iterations I do before I can finalize my slides, and I continue to upgrade my slides every day. Okay, in a way, for example, today before today's presentation, I just look at my slide and see whether I can improve or not, and then based on the mind science, I try to reflect again whether I can improve or not. Yes, Colin, you are right. It's a continuous process of me trying to improve my slides. I'm not perfect, but I'm continuing to improve the slides by reviewing the slides each time I present. Okay, so that's a very good practice. Your slides will continue to get better and better.
Okay, Dr. Gerard, there's another question. What is the ratio between visual and narration in a presentation? From Adrian Lin.
Okay, what is the ratio? Ratio, that means how much visual and how much narration is it? Is that question referring to? If the question is referring to that, I can tell you the ratio is 1:1. Meaning what it means is basically if you show an apple, say it's an apple. Okay, you don't try to say too many things about an apple. Okay, so visuals and the narration should actually coincide. Why? Because you are channeling your narration to the ear and the visuals to the eyes. And if these two are logical and they are together, and when it goes to the working memory, you have a model of a verbal model and also a pictorial model in your brain, and actually you can process better. Okay.
Yeah. Another question is meditation a method to decrease extraneous processing of our brain? Your opinion, right?
Okay, I don't do meditation, but I try to answer this question. Is meditation a method to decrease extraneous processing? I believe so, because when you do meditation, from what I know, is that you try to drain everything from your mind, right? Actually, your working memory and your sensory memories are all drained of things. Okay, you just focus on one point. Okay, and I think if you focus on one point, basically you are using very little of your working memory to a certain extent. When you have little processing in your working memory, I think that is a good way to rest your brain. Okay, rejuvenate your brain. That's why meditation is good. Okay, because it empties your brain away. Okay, I don't know whether I'm saying the right thing or not, but I think it's emptying your brain, and you are giving time for your brain to actually recuperate. That's why people say meditation is good. I hope I'm giving the right answer. I'm not an expert in meditation, by the way.
Yeah, I think the meditation do make the mind clear, right? The mind is like maybe and then help you to be more focused, right? I think that will help. Definitely. Okay, and then one more question. I think from Corin G says, even we have very few words on the screen, should we actually read out or better not read? That's team, and we will cause cognitive overload.
If I understand your question correctly, basically when I put up keywords in my slides, most of the time I don't read verbatim. Okay, what I do is I use those words as keywords for me to present and elaborate. So normally I look at pictures, I elaborate. I look at keywords, I elaborate. Okay, I don't read it out like reading a book. Okay, so actually I don't do that. Okay, it gives me a signal what to say, and I will elaborate and try to make the audience understand. And also by looking at the audience and seeing because the audience, as I explained, they will give me feedback through their mannerism, through their body language, through their eyes and whatever, if it's a face-to-face kind of presentation. So I can pick those feedback, and then I can adjust my presentation.
Any more questions?
Dr. Yap is my former colleague. He say, if you want to learn meditation, can talk to Dr. Robin Tan. Okay? Dr. Mui, you know who is Dr. Robin Tan, right? Yeah, from PDU.
Okay. Thank you for your recommendation, Dr. Yap. Okay. It's, refer to
Okay,
another Sifu.
Yeah. Okay.
Any more questions?
Maybe you can have the last question. If there's a last question, if there's no last question coming from the audience, I think we can wrap it up.
Yeah, I will share the screen and yeah. Okay. So I think let me share my screen and wrap up the session.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Once again, thank you for Dr. Gerard for having this 1 hour plus sessions on the mind science for effective multimedia presentation. And I think they are really very interesting. I hope all of you can learn something useful tonight, how to improve your cognitive kind of skill, right? And that will be something that will be beneficial for your work or even personal life. Now, as I'm saying, we do have this 2 weeks training course to be go down more deeper on these principles of this major cognitive approach, right? So you can further communicate with us. Now, all of you can get your certificate of attendance for this evening talk, right? So you can scan this QR code, and then eventually we will be we'll have an e-certificate for all of you who join, right? At least this link will be open for 30 minutes. I think it should be more than that. Okay. So this is the certificate. You can. Now the next talk will be on next Wednesday night. All right. So I will be presenting the topic on how project management knowledge and skill can enhance your business and career path. Right. I mean, for those who are new to project management, and this could be a good session to show the way. Right. So I will share the basic principles of the project management knowledge based on the Pinball guide and also some personal experience and also industrial experience to enlighten this topic, right? So again, this is you can register. Anyone can register, or you can inform your friends or whoever can benefit from these sessions. All right. So you can also join our Telegram, right? These are set up by Stegi. College Penang. So feel free to do so if you want to further communicate. This is a platform to do that. Okay, with that, we thank you everyone tonight.
I got last announcement. Those who are still in, last announcement is that this live webinar is on YouTube, right? Basically, you can come back to Segi College Penang channel to continue to view this presentation, repeated recorded video if you want. Okay, so if you think this session is effective and is good for you and you can use it to improve your presentation to a certain extent, you can actually please invite your friends, okay, and your colleagues or family to go and view the recorded video on our Segi Penang YouTube channel. Thank you very much and good night.
All right. Thank you,